Hi guys, welcome back to the Smash Knits Knitting channel. We are officially at episode 21 and I'm so excited to be back with you today. I'm excited for the lighting to finally be good. I'm very, very excited. I have lots to show you. I think I have, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 finished objects to show you today. I have been very busy. I am glad to say that I've finally gotten myself off Sleeve Island. And I have two whips and a few acquisitions, which you'll see later, including these really cute earrings that I've got going on. So I'm very, very excited to get into today's episode. And before we go any further, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Boonwurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I've had a really good day so far. I got up early, did all my notes for today's video. I went to Little Woolies because they just reopened. They moved across the street, so now they have a way bigger store. And I don't know what I was expecting. Little Woolies is very, the old store is very intimate, very nice, and they had a lot of yarn in there. But I think in this new space where it's all spread out, it just looks fabulous. It just feels airy and amazing, and it's so amazing. So if you are ever in the southeast suburbs of Melbourne, kind of near the Mornington Peninsula, and you want a yarn store to visit, I would highly recommend going to Little Woolies because it is so fabulous. It's a really great experience there. They have a crazy range of hand-dyed and commercially dyed yarn. It's a really fantastic yarn store. So I was there with my knitting group this morning, which was really nice, and now I'm here to film. And then later I will be going over to John's parents' house for dinner. John's away on a boys' trip, so it'll just be me and his family, which will be really nice. Now, before I get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast, I do want to thank everyone for commenting on my last video. It was so interesting reading all of your interesting takes on everything. I did a video about unpopular opinions, so if you want to check that out, that will be linked at the end of the video. And yeah, it was really, really good hearing everyone's perspective. I can take things a bit literally sometimes, but I think it was really good going through and hearing everyone's perspective and what they thought and whether they agreed or disagreed. It was really, really good. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. And if you want to keep seeing more videos from me, feel free to subscribe. Really helps out the channel, and I just love growing this community that we've got here. We're nearly at 4,000 subscribers, which is pretty crazy. I feel like we just hit 3,000. What the hell, guys? This is really great. You guys are just amazing. You blow my minds every single time. I can't thank you guys enough. Now, I also want to plug my Instagram because I do more frequent updates on there about what I'm working on, anything new, because sometimes I can't feature everything in one podcast or it'll be very, very long, and I don't like making these kind of longer than an hour and 10 minutes. People have lives. They can't sit around for so long watching me. But yeah, so I do give shorter updates on there over on Instagram, and my Instagram is smashknits. So feel free to check that out. I'll have that linked in the description box below. Now, like every podcast I've been doing recently, I have had a word of the month, usually an unusual word that's just a bit of fun. And this month's word is swivet. So I've never heard of this word before, but I found it online, and it's called a state of nervous excitement, haste, or anxiety. And I feel like I go through that a lot with my knitting. So I was in a swivet when I was waiting for one of my finished objects to dry because I was worried that it was going to stretch out, but I was also excited because I would get to wear it earlier. So feel free to comment down below a situation where you get put in a swivet. And like always, I will have everything linked down below in the description box. Any patterns or yarn or projects that I talk about, everything will be down in the description box below. I link everything just to make it easy for you guys. Okay, so let's get into the finished objects. Now, like I said before, I have quite a few to get through today. Two are big ones, two sweaters. This one is one of them. This is my Salty Days sweater by Veronika Lindberg, or Kutovakika as she's more commonly known on the internet. This is a worsted weight top-down drop shoulder sweater with this amazing, beautiful texture on it. I'll insert some B-roll so that you guys can see as I describe it, but it is absolutely fabulous. This has taken me 13 months to get through, and that's okay. You know, it's a long time and I'm impatient, but that's all right. You know, I think it's really good to normalize taking a long time with knits because sometimes you just get distracted by other things, but it is totally normal to take a long time to complete your whips and not everything has to be a quick knit. But I originally started this project as part of the Salty Days cowl, which was run by Morgan Unraveled and Hayley Space, which are 2 Australian podcasters that I found on YouTube, and they're really, really lovely. I've met Hayley in person and she's really nice. I met her at the F1, but I haven't met Morgan because I think she's in Canberra. So, but they are really 2 fantastic podcasters, and they were running a cowl to knit this sweater, and so I joined the cowl, and I think that was like a long time ago, obviously, because I'm just finishing this now. It's called the Salty Days sweater because it's kind of designed to mimic the salt fields of Portugal. The designer is Finnish, but she was inspired, by the salt fields of Portugal, and it is so beautiful. So it has all these different textured panels. So it has like this 1x2 ribbing up the top, then it has these rows of eyelets, then you've got like the lace diamond panels, which goes, you know, which is also framed by the eyelets, and then you've got these cabled sections as well. So the entire thing is textured. There's not a moment where you're just knitting a stockinette. So it does feel kind of potato chippy in the way that you want to get to each section. And there are parts of it that are mindless because the ribbing is just ribbing, but it's not as meditative as just doing stockinette in the round. Now, this is like a traditional European drop shoulder. So what you do is you like cast on stitches at the back, then you knit outwards, increasing until you eventually get to kind of the underarm. You pick up stitches along like the shoulder section, knit 2 little panels connected in the front, and then you knit flat again until you get to the underarms, and then that's where you join in the round. And then for the sleeves, you pick up stitches for the sleeves, knit that down, and then obviously bind off at the bottom. I knit the size 5, and I knit everything according to the pattern in that size except for the sleeves. For the sleeves, I did pick up stitches for the size above, just because I had heard with this 1x2 ribbing that the sleeves could be quite tight, and I really didn't want that after all of this effort because as beautiful as it is a lot of ribbing. And I don't think when you first look at the sweater, you think, oh, that's a lot of ribbing. But then when you're actually knitting it and you're getting towards the end of the jumper, like the last 35% of the jumper, you're like, oh, this is a lot of knitting rib. Because at the bottom, you've got all of this rib. You've got this massive rib section. Then you've got the ribbing, which is twisted rib along the bottom of the garment. And then you've got the entire sleeve pretty much except for this one diamond kind of lace pattern is all ribbing, and then that goes into half twisted rib again on the sleeves. So, and then you've also got half twisted rib folded collar. So it's just a lot of ribbing, and if you're not someone who likes to do ribbing, or you feel like your ribbing is like uneven, or ribbing is just isn't enjoyable for you, then I probably wouldn't recommend this jumper because it is a lot of ribbing. However, this is a worsted weight garment, so you're not, theoretically, if you stick with just this project and you're consistently knitting on it every day, it shouldn't take you too long. But I really did enjoy, like, pretty much I had like a 10 out of 10 experience for the entire body until I got to the sleeves, and that's kind of where I lost my steam a bit. Now I'll go through a few more features of the sweater before I get straight into the yarn. I feel like I'm talking really fast, actually. I don't know why. I'm not in a rush, but I feel like I'm just flying through these things. So for the entire body, except for the cuff ribbing, I knit it in a 5mm needle, which is the recommended needle size. However, for all of the ribbing, such as like the collar and the wrists and the bottom ribbing on the jumper, she does ask you to size down to a 3mm needle. However, when I first did that, especially for the bottom, I found like that it was too tight with the twisted rib. So I ended up sizing up and doing a 3.5, and I feel like that looks really clean and is a good enough needle size to go down to, but it wasn't too much. So that would just be my recommendation. If you are a particularly tight knitter, I don't think you need to go down all the way to a 3mm. You could probably definitely get away with a 3.5mm needle. Like I said before, all the cuff ribbing and stuff like that is twisted rib. Well, it's half twisted rib. So half twisted rib is essentially your knit through the back loop, but you just purl like normal, so you don't have to purl through the back loop. And I love that because I just feel like I'm a lot quicker that way, rather than having to like kind of like weirdly twist around my needle so that I can purl through the back loop. And then I bound everything off with an Italian bind off. You can kind of see there, and I really like that bind off. You'll hear me talk about it lots because it's just my go-to 1x1 ribbing bind off. I think it looks really neat, and it's easy to do. I also did a split hem, which you'll see in the B-roll. This pattern doesn't call for a split hem, but from the pattern pages and things like that, I saw that the twisted rib cinched in a bit and kind of like makes it look like a mushroom a little bit, where the ribbing at the bottom would be tighter than the actual body knitting, and then it just kind of like looks like a mushroom, and I don't like that. I much prefer like an A-line look to my jumpers, so I did the split hem so that it would get more of that shape, and I much prefer that. And when it comes to doing the invisible bind off, I find that a lot less of a task because you only have to do half of the bind off at a time so that the yarn isn't long enough. Of course, you could just like, you know, cut the yarn when you do the sewn bind off like halfway so that it's not that long, or rejoin or something, but I just prefer doing half. I like it that way. Now let's talk about the yarn. So the yarn that I use for this jumper is the Knit Picks palette in the color Bluebell, and this is a really beautiful fingering 4-ply yarn in this really gorgeous color. Like I said, this is Bluebell, and it's definitely blue. It's definitely bell. It is like a cornflower blue, and that initially is what attracted me to this yarn because I just love that cooler kind of purpley violet undertone blues. I think they look so stunning, and I think they suit so many skin tones, and I knew immediately that's what I wanted to use. I think I swatched this for a different project, didn't like how it looked, and then ended up deciding that this is what I was wanting to do. Now you might notice, like I said before, this is a fingering weight. I held this double, and because it is quite lofty, I was able to get gauge with it quite easily, so you can kind of see that it's like spun quite loosely. And it's 100% Peruvian Highland wool, so I don't know if that has something to do with the loftiness, because I feel like sometimes merino can be very soft, but it can also be quite dense. Whereas this like Highland Peruvian wool is really nice and lofty. So holding two of the fingering together worked out really well, and I achieved like a worsted weight gauge, as you can see there. It was really nice to work with. Like I didn't have any issues knitting with it. Obviously holding two strands can sometimes be annoying, but it really was no issues. I didn't find it splitting very much, even though it's like loosely spun. I think because it's like quite like it's got a little bit of toothiness to it. It like attaches itself to the strands quite well, and overall I really enjoyed using it. Now let's talk about post blocking. So post blocking, I was a little bit stressed because I had never worked with Peruvian Highland wool just by itself. I have used this yarn before in a different color. I think it was called like Spring Rose. It's beautiful light green color for the PetiteKnit Cumulus blouse, but I held that with like an alpaca silk, so I couldn't fully determine if it didn't grow out crazy because of that, or because it wasn't that yarn alone, versus this would be just the yarn alone. I knit everything to the length of the pattern, I should also say. And for me, when I first blocked this, I was really stressed that it was going to grow out too much. I wanted the body to grow, like to stretch a little bit, because it was a little bit short, and it stretched out perfectly. It blocked to be a really perfect length. I wouldn't change the length at all. The sleeves were like when I first like put them on, they were a bit long. However, after wearing it, I actually discovered that it's fine. It's a perfect length. I think because the cuffs are not like crazy loose, like you know how some jumpers like really loose, that they sit there quite well and they don't bother me. But if I do want to like hike them up to be warm, they're good. They don't bother me. They don't get in the way. I really like the length of the sleeves, even though I thought initially that it would be too long. I also love the drape. The drape of this jumper is really beautiful. It's not too it's not like if I was making something out of pure alpaca and it has a lot of drape and not a lot of structure. It's kind of like that perfect mix between like a structure and a drapey garment. When I first was knitting the ribbing, and this could just solely be my particular tension, but I felt like the ribbing was really, really like messy. But now post blocking, you can see that it's like neatened up a bit. When I first was knitting this, I was a little bit worried that post blocking it wouldn't be enough to be able to fix my messy knitting, but I'm so glad that it did. I should also say that this yarn is not like crazy soft like a merino. Like I don't feel this and I'm like, oh wow, like that's so soft. I feel it and be like, that's a neutral texture. It doesn't feel too toothy. It doesn't feel too soft. It just feels like a neutral textured wool. I'm wearing it now with a long sleeve top and it's not itchy. When I first wore it a couple of times, the collar was a little bit itchy, but only just slightly. And I think my neck is particularly sensitive. However, after a few wears, those kind of like more loose kind of toothy fibers like obviously get worn down a little bit more, and now I have no issues wearing it. Because that was something that I was really concerned about. Because the collar is quite tight, I was really worried that it would be itchy and the collar would be tight. The collar did stretch out a bit, but not as much as I probably would have liked. Like it's still stretchy, but I think because the base is sewn down. So with this particular jumper, you pick up stitches around the collar, you knit the ribbing, and then you can either like bind it off, like sew down, bind off, whatever the hell you do it, or you can just like sew it down with a needle. I think I did the bind off, sew down method where essentially you're like picking up a stitch and binding it off. You'll have to Google it because I'm terrible at explaining that. I did that and I think I might have done it a little bit tight because it is a little bit tighter than I would like. It's still stretchy, but you might have more control of your tension if you sew it down. However, I do think over time having that structure will be good, and it's not totally tight. Like I can get my head in easily. You can see it stretches out, but it won't stretch further than that, if you know what I mean. I've worn this jumper for 3 full days. I've worn it to work, I wore it to book club, and then I've also worn it to knitting group one day, and I really love it. Like it's so stunning. I think the eyelets and the loftiness of it give it a good breathability. However, you can tell from this yarn that it's already starting to pill. Granted, my book club does get a bit rowdy sometimes, so we are moving around quite a bit, but it is already pilling quite a bit, and you can definitely see all of that. I haven't shaved this just so that you can get an idea of how much pilling there is with this yarn. I did have pilling in my other sweater with this yarn. However, I thought it was the alpaca. I didn't think to consider that it might be the palette. But yeah, it is quite pilly. Pilling is something that I'm kind of like very accepting of because it does happen with a lot of wools. Like I think pilling is due to like there being short, loose fibers in the wool. I don't mind it that much. If it's kind of like I am now where it's only been a few wears and it is very early on, and maybe it's just shedding those initial loose fibers, and then the more I wear it, it's not going to pill as much. That doesn't bother me as much. But if it's something that maybe might continue in the future and every single time I wear it, it pills significantly and I will constantly have to shave it, that's where I find it a little bit annoying. It's too early to tell right now. However, based on this amount of pilling, I am concerned that this will be something frequent that will happen with this particular yarn. Other than that, I really like the Knit Picks palette. It's a really fantastic yarn. It comes in such a variety of colors, and I think the price point is really good. I think for this particular jumper, the yarn was like under $100 for the entire jumper, which I think is really fantastic. You know, knitting jumpers, especially in larger sizes, can get very expensive, so this is a really good affordable option. Now, to tell you how much I actually used to make this jumper, I used 603 grams, which is 1,274.6 meters. That's held together double. So that was really quite close to what the pattern recommended. So the pattern advised for my size, which is size 5, 1,296 meters. So I'm only about like 20 meters less than what was recommended in the pattern instructions, which is really good. I love when that's accurate. I've made a note in this one for my finished objects to include that stuff, especially for jumpers, so that you guys can get an idea of if you need to buy more yarn or not. I would say that this pattern is pretty accurate to the amount of yarn that you need to use. So I used 603 grams, which is just over 12 balls of the palette. Again, all this information will be linked down below on my Ravelry Projects page. I log everything in there, the needle sizes, the size I made, the yarn quantities, the colors, everything's in there, and any tips and tricks that I have or any notes. I most of the time don't need to make a lot of notes, but there are occasional notes that I do put in there. So if you're wondering, that's all down there too. There's also one more thing that I'd like to mention actually in regards to the pattern. Overall, the pattern I felt was really clear for my size, but I know some other people have been having issues with the kind of like the small to medium sizes. I don't know if that's like an issue with how it's written or if there are actual mistakes in the pattern, but personally for my size and size 5, I didn't find any mistakes or any issues. I found all the counts and everything to be quite accurate. Now, I do want to say that there is one particular part in the pattern that I found a lot of people struggle with, and that is on chart C in row 5, and that is the chart for this kind of diamond lace section. And row 5 is when you have to continue the diamond pattern without being interrupted, but obviously when you're knitting in the round, where you start the round and where you finish the round is different. Well, is the same, but it doesn't perfectly align, sorry. And so she has, Veronika, written instructions in there how to do that specific line to continue the pattern. If you follow that instruction that she has, it's like a little paragraph to the T, and you read it and you just read it as you do it, then you shouldn't have any issue with that particular row. It does seem a bit like unintuitive at start because she's just like, you want me to do what? I was like, it doesn't feel right. But if you do follow it, you should be good. There shouldn't be any issues. So overall, I love this jumper. I've been wanting a blue jumper for the longest time. I have like a Target blue jumper that I wear the absolute crap out of, but every single time I wear my store-bought knits, I feel bad for that I'm not wearing something that is knit by me. And so I'm super glad to have a beautiful blue sweater in this like wonderfully ornate pattern. It's just so fabulous. I love it so much. I love all of the details. I love all the eyelets. I love that where you pick up stitches there's eyelets. Everything about it, I just think this is a stunning pattern. I can see why so many people want to knit it, and it is a really fun knit. It's a really Moorish knit, and if you're wanting to make this pattern, yeah, I would highly recommend because it is really fun and it's really beautiful, and I'm very much in love with it. I wouldn't change anything about it. Yeah, other than the pilling. But other than that, I think I'm very, very happy. And I would definitely want to make another one of these in the future, potentially. Alrighty, so I've done a quick change to talk about my next finished object, which is my Lumme pullover by Sari Nordlund. Oh my god. This was a surprise, to be completely honest. I initially, when I tried this on prior to blocking, I wasn't like super obsessed with it, to be completely honest. The Salty Day sweater prior to blocking and post blocking, I like tried that on and I was ecstatic. I was like, yes, yes, yes. Like pre-blocking, even though it looked all like scrunched and weird and like kind of ugly in a little bit and kind of like scrunched up, I still really loved it. This pre-blocking, I was like, it's okay. But I think because it's like not my usual colors, it just wasn't giving me what I wanted. But post-blocking, this is my favorite jumper I've ever made. This is my favorite jumper I have ever made. This is so beautiful. It is so lovely. It is so soft. It's like the perfect size. It fits me so well. I wouldn't change a thing about it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Anyway. I was wearing this before I filmed this podcast and I felt sad taking it off. And I love that blue jumper. But this, I really didn't expect to love it so much. I love this so much. So let me stop talking about how much I love it and actually tell you some information about it. So like I said before, this is the Lumme pullover by Sari Nordlund. It is a worsted weight, top down, round colorwork yoke sweater. It's stranded colorwork, so it's kind of like Fair Isle. I don't know if Fair Isle means the size as well. I think Fair Isle just means you're only working with 2 colors. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But yeah, you're only ever working with 2 colors, and it's just such a beautiful design. It is, I think Lumme stands for lily pad in Finnish, and I think that's why it's got these, why it's called that, because it's got these beautiful kind of flower lily pad vibes going on. It's so stunning. I love it so much. I knit the size 6. I think it fits me really, really well. And I knit this in Patons, Australia, Baby Alpaca Air. And I knit it in the color, this like creamy color here is called Birch. And then this more greeny color is called Alchemy. And I'll get into the yarn after we talk about the sweater. So you've got this lovely 1x1 rib collar, and different to the traditional European drop shoulder like we saw in the Salty Day sweater, where you have to pick up stitches to do the collar. You actually start this jumper with the collar. I much prefer that just because it allows me to do a crochet provisional cast on, where I can do that provisional cast on, knit the collar to the length that I need to do because it's folded, and then instead of having to like sew or knit it down, I can put the provisional cast on stitches onto another circular needle and hold one at the back with the one that I was working on at the front, and knit the 2 stitches together and joining it essentially without having to do any sewing down. And I much prefer that. That also does give a looser collar, so you can see this one's like stretchier because there is no like sewn section. It's just really cleanly knit 2 together all the way around, and it looks really clean. When I first did it, I was worried that maybe I had cast on too many stitches because it was super, super close and really tight on my neck, and the alpaca felt itchy at that time prior to blocking. So I was very, very, very worried that I wouldn't be able to wear this after putting so much effort into it, but it has relaxed a lot, and it's at this perfect kind of height now where it doesn't really, it's not like strangling me like it was before. This is a circular yoke, so instead of having to pick up stitches, you're working the colorwork in the round, and then you put the live stitches on hold and pick up and like cast on stitches under the arm to do the arms. This is a really fun way of doing stranded colorwork. Most stranded colorwork yokes are a circular yoke. It looks really nice when it's laid out flat. It was my first one I've ever done, which is really exciting, and I think it turned out really well. One thing I was worried about, and which I had heard with circular yokes, was that sometimes they can like bunch up like this because there's no like shaping around the neck or the bust. But luckily Sari Nordlund does have short row shaping in this pattern. Instead of incorporating it at the back of the neck where you would usually find it, to make sure that the colorwork is even all the way around the neck, she has the option to do the short rows underneath the yoke at the back, which is what I did. She also has an option to do the short rows right before you do the bottom ribbing, but I didn't do that because I felt like the front short rows were enough. Now, this is my first colorwork sweater that I've ever done, so I feel like there was a lot to learn. However, I didn't feel like it was too overwhelming at any point. I really enjoyed doing the colorwork yoke. It might be because it's on a large gauge and the yarn that I was working with was quite like chunky or lofty, so it was a really good experience in that sense. But I did do some research prior to be able to figure out like, how do I do colorwork? Like, how do I hold it? How do I like catch floats, and what is yarn dominance? Because I heard a lot of people talking about yarn dominance when I was watching podcasts and stuff like that. I'm like, what the hell is that? And essentially what yarn dominance is the way that you like carry your yarn when you're knitting to make sure that the contrast color, or the color that you're doing the design with, pops more against its background. And it's a really handy technique to learn how to do. Do I think I'm like perfected at it? No, I think there's definitely room for improvement. Like I said, this is my first Colorwork sweater, so I didn't expect it to be perfect, but I think that trick really helped. You can Google yarn dominance or how to hold your yarn dominant on YouTube, and there's plenty of tutorials on it. It's just a little handy tip. Like, I'm not saying you need to do that, but if you really want your like flower or like the motif to really stand out, considering yarn dominance really makes a difference. Now, if you have been watching this channel for a while, you know that this is also a long-term sweater knit, and I have also been working on this for over a year, like again, 13 months. I think I casted these on around about the same time. But with the other one where I didn't really want to do any sleeves or ribbing anymore, this one got delayed because I ran out of yarn. So like I said before, the yarn is Patons Australia Baby Alpaca Air, and I had it in 2 colors, which is this birch color here, which is really, really lovely kind of neutral cream. I don't know if it's translating on the camera, but it does have like an undertone of pink to it. And then we've also got this one here, which is Alchemy, which is like a kind of like a muddy green with like a tinge of like kind of yellow undertone. And those are those two together, which you can see in my jumper here. I ran out of this birch colored yarn pretty much when I was just starting the sleeves. So I was stuck not only on Sleeve Island, but I was on Sleeve Island without any yarn. And I procrastinated a lot ordering the yarn, eventually ordered the yarn. That took a very long time. I did have a click and collect, but they just like never reached out to me, which was unfortunate. I think it was an easy mistake on their hand. I think they thought they communicated with me that it was ready to pick up, but I think something happened. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Got the yarn in the end. Literal yarn miracle happened because, again, I had been working on this jumper for over a year. I had originally bought this yarn from Lumme and Spindle, which was a yarn store in local to me that shut down, unfortunately. I originally bought my yarn from there on sale. So it'd been like a year. I needed more of this. I was just hoping that I would get it in the same color, but by some miracle, I ordered 4 extra balls and I got them not only in the same color, I got them in the same dye lot, which is just insane. I don't know how I pulled that one off, but I was so happy when I saw that they were all the same dye lot, because that meant I didn't have to do any yarn management, didn't have to worry about blending schemes. It just could all flow perfectly. So I was so blessed by the yarn gods that day. I don't know what yarn karma I'm operating on, but it's good. It was good that day. So very, very happy that happened, and that meant that I could finally do the sleeves and finish the sleeves. One thing I really love about this jumper is that it's got colorwork on the sleeves as well, and I think that's just such a beautiful touch. Like, oh my god, it's so, so beautiful. I love the colorwork on the sleeves. It just adds a little bit more interest rather than it just have one color focused on the chest. I think it looks really good blended into the sleeves as well. So nice. So, so, so nice. To give you a little bit more information about the yarn, this particular yarn here, the Patons Baby Alpaca Air, is 75% alpaca, 19% merino wool, and 6% nylon. You get 85 meters per 50 grams. So these are 50 gram balls. Not a big fan of 50 gram balls for worsted weight yarn, to be completely honest, because you have to weave in a million ends. And when I tell you I had like a million ends to weave in, it took me like hours to weave in all of the ends, like at least a few hours, because there were just so many. Because 85 meters is not a lot, considering this project took 1,288 meters. That's how much is in this jumper. So you can only imagine how many balls and how many ends I had to weave in. Now I used 621 grams or 1,056.6 meters of the Birch colorway, and I used 136 grams or 231.4 meters of the Alchemy colorway. So in total, that's 1,288 meters. And the pattern advises that for my size, which was size 6, I would use 1,275 meters. So I'm only like 13 meters off. So that's pretty good. Like, I always buy a little bit extra anyway, other than this one time that I didn't, because I was buying on sale and that's all they had, but that's pretty accurate. I'm very happy with that. And then the needle sizes that I used were 4.5 millimeter for the everything that wasn't Colorwork, 5 millimeter for the Colorwork, and then 4 millimeters for all the ribbing. So the ribbing is just 1x1 ribbing everywhere on the bottom as well. I did a split hem on the bottom. Again, this pattern doesn't call for a split hem. I love a split hem. I'm going to put a split hem in pretty much anything. So yes, I did do a split hem on this and it looks cute. I like it. It's cute. Those were all the recommended needle sizes because I was able to achieve gauge when I first swatched for this. So that was really good being able to work with the same needle size. And overall, I'm just really, I'm beyond happy with this. It is so soft and so lovely. Post blocking. Yeah, I was worried this would stretch out a bit. The body is long, it could do with an inch less, but I'm honestly not bothered by it at all. I think it's still a really good, cozy sweater. It's slightly oversized, but not oversized enough where I feel like I'm just wearing a giant tent. But it's just amazing. There's no bunching. It fits my arms well. It's not tight. It's just a really good length. It feels and looks amazing. It feels like a giant soft cuddle by someone that you love because it is just so lovely and soft. I'm so happy with this yarn. It's really lovely and soft. Obviously, you can see, I don't know if you can kind of see, but there are little bits of fluffy alpaca fluff on it. So I would feel like it does tickle a little bit initially when you are wearing it pre-blocking, but post-blocking, it's not giving me any issues. And I just know that this will be a jumper that I will wear so often. This is such an easy throw-on sweater. I already know I want to make another one in different colors, something more bright. I do love this muted palette. It is very, very nice, but I color, just could you imagine a bright, colorful, oh my God, could you imagine? Anyway, so I definitely want to make another one of these in a bright color, but I'm overall absolutely over the moon with this jumper. The instructions were really clear. Everything, all the color work is charted and it's very clear and very easy. I had no issues with the pattern. Sari Nordlund has been doing this for a long time, so she is very experienced pattern writer, and I haven't been led astray so far. One thing that I probably would say is when it comes to her when it comes to some patterns with her, when she has really big charts, sometimes the picture of the chart is not very high quality. That's just a pet peeve. I don't like when there's when the pixel size of the image of the chart is low quality, because when I zoom in it's it's really pixely. But that's just a pet peeve with me. I don't think she had very many big charts when it came to this sweater. So yeah, overall I'm so happy. I can't wait to wear this to Bendigo. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I will be going to Bendigo. So Bendigo is in 2 weeks time, and it's where the Australian Wool and Sheep Show is held every year. It's kind of like Aussie Rhinebeck essentially. It's where all across Australia all the yarn dyers come together, as well as they have sheep herding competitions and they show sheep there. It's a whole thing. It's massive and it's a really fun time. It's over the whole weekend, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm going for Friday and Saturday, so if you do happen to be at the Bendigo Wool and Sheep Show, or the Australian Wool and Sheep Show as they call it, on the Friday and the Saturday, I will be there. So if you do see me, feel free to say hi. I won't bite, I promise. Yeah, it's always great to meet you guys in person. You guys are always so lovely. So it's always so exciting to meet you, because I feel on here, I don't get to have that back and forth conversation. So it would be really nice to see you guys there if anyone is there. So I'll be there. John will be there carrying around the yarn that I should be consciously buying. Yes, consciously buying. But yes, so yeah. All right, just had to do a quick battery change before we get into this next finished object. This one you guys are gonna love so much. I love them. And these are my Colorwork Cuff Club for January by Summer Lee Designs. And here they are. Can you see that? Can you see that gorgeous, gorgeous colorwork cuff? How fabulous are these? Like, have you got to be kidding me? Here they are together. I'm just seeing these on the camera and I'm just gobsmacked at how cute they are. You have no idea how badly I've been wanting to wear these, but I wanted to keep them nice and pristine so I could show you guys. And here they are. Here they are. Alrighty, so these are, like I said before, my Colorwork Cuff Clubs. My Colorwork Cuff Club socks. And if you're not familiar with some of these Colorwork Cuff Club, God, that's like hard to say sometimes. It is it's not like a subscription, but you like pay a one-time fee for like the pattern. You buy the pattern once, and every single month for a year she releases a new colorwork pattern for a standard sock. So she gives you the base sock pattern, and then all you have to do is input the colorwork chart in there, and every month she comes out with a new one. Sometimes she, you know, if it's like Valentine's Day or if it's Christmas or Halloween or something like that, she'll usually do like a couple of colorwork charts. But it's been just like a really fun way to improve my colorwork skills and knit some really fun colorful socks. And it's also great for like stash busting if you've got like odd leftovers from socks that you've made previously and you've got a little bit of sock yarn. It's a great way to incorporate those leftovers into another sock. Officially, I believe this July is like the last Colorwork Cuff Club for that year, so that if you did want to knit like the previous months, you can still buy that pattern and you'll get all the previous months. I'm excited to see what she does for her next year. I was thinking like, will I buy that one? Probably yes, because I've been having a really fun time knitting these cuffs, and you don't have to knit them every month. But for example, like I knit the January ones recently, but I think they're really cool because she gets really creative with them. Getting back into these socks. So these are the January socks, and you can see here they feature this really beautiful scalloped pattern, and they're just gorgeous. And these remind me of tulips because you've got like the petals there and then the greens at the stem. And you guys on Instagram helped me pick out some colors, and this was the colors that we ultimately came to in the end, and I'm just so happy with them. It's my first like shorter colorwork cuff, and I think that was really fun because I didn't actually have to knit for that long. Another good thing about this particular chart in January is that this particular colorwork is only a very short amount. I think it's only like 6 or 8 rows. It's a very short colorwork cuff, so you don't have to be doing colorwork for very long. And it's just normal stranded colorwork. Most of the time, I think every row except for one row, you're only holding 2 colors together, and then there's one row where you have to hold 3 colors, but it is very easy. And I think in that same row you have to catch floats, but it's not hard, trust me. Colorwork is not as scary as it seems. I knit the size large, which I think is like around a 70 something stitch cast on, and all of the ribbing for her socks is 2x1 ribbing, which I really like. I think it looks really neat. You can do whatever ribbing you want, but I do really like the look of 2x1 ribbing. Now to get into the colors. So the first color we've got here is this beautiful bright light colored pink. It's like that musk color that I was talking about. I used this color to make my Harriet socks that you might have seen in my previous podcast. I think that's where they were. And I just love this color so much. It's just the perfect musk pink. It's like a beautiful cool tone pink, and it's by Hedgehog Fibres in their sock base in the colorway Harajuku. Then this beautiful bright pink, this hot pink color is again in the Hedgehog Fibres sock, but it's in the color Flamingo. And then the main part of the sock is in Spun Right Round Tough Sock in the color Mantis. And I love this color. This color Mantis is one of my favorite evergreens. I love this. I have so much of this. I think when Julie got it into Little Woolies, I bought like 4 skeins of it. I don't know what I was going to do with 4 skeins, but absolutely love this color. This is one of my favorite colors, and it's like a golden green, and it's just so beautiful. I can't describe it, but in person it looks like it glows, like it's like sunlight is radiating out of the green. It's very hard for me to describe to show you that on camera, but that's what it's like. I absolutely love this color. Like I always do on my socks, I do my standard slip stitch heel and gusset. I find that gives like extra cushioning, and unlike Summerly, I do pick up more stitches along the gusset. I pick up like 17 to 18 stitches here, one extra one that I knit through the back loop as well up here, so that there's no hole. That's how I prevent that hole, and that's a little trick I learned from the Crazy Sock Lady. The fiber content of the two different sock bases are different. So you can see here, these are the Hedgehog, this is the Spun Right Round. The sock by Hedgehog Fibres is 90% superwash merino and 10% nylon, and you get 400 meters per 100 grams. And then the Spun Right Round tough sock, it's a light fingering. So this is 4-ply, where this is 3-ply. You get 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon and 423 meters per 100 grams. So you get slightly more meterage in the tough sock. I love both of these bases. You can see that the Hedgehog Fibres sock is a little bit more plump, whereas the tough sock is a little bit more tighter wound, but they're both really lovely. I would say the Hedgehog fiber probably to like touch and feel is softer than the Spun Right Round. However, I feel like in terms of which one is going to last the longest, I feel like the Spun Right Round is probably going to be more hard wearing, and it is still a beautifully plump yarn. It's still so gorgeous. I love Spun Right Round. Probably Hedgehog Fibres and Spun Right Round in terms of like, and Maximoo and Woolen Works. In terms of like international dyes, I should say, Spun Right Round and Hedgehog Fibres are two of my most favorite sock yarns. I feel like especially Spun Right Round, their colorways really are just fantastic and speak to me. Hedgehog Fibres, again, the colors are just so great. So it only made sense to pair these two together and make some fabulous pink and green socks. I love pink and green. Like, I think they're a really good combination. And I think on my Instagram, I showed that, you know, have you guys ever seen like the Nanny McPhee movie? God, I love that movie. I used to watch it all the time as a kid, but there is like a part in it where he's going to marry this like evil stepmom kind of thing, and she has this wedding, and the wedding that is like pink and green and ruffle and frilly, and she's even like dyed the little lambs that she's walking down the aisle with pink and green, and I just think it's like so camp and so fabulous. It's so ridiculous, and I know it was like meant to be depicted or like insinuate that she has horrible style and then it's like the ugliest wedding in the world, but I saw that as a child and I was like, that is fabulous. That's what I want my wedding to be like. I want a pink and green wedding with pink and green lambs. And so this is my kind of my inspiration for these, was like, it's giving very much that Nanny McPhee evil stepmother wedding. And I just love them, and I cannot wait to wear them. They're a really good length where they stick out the top of my runners. They don't stick out top of my boots, but runners are perfect, and I just think they're lovely. I'm just so happy with them. So like all of my socks, I knit them all on 2.25 millimeter 9-inch circular needles, the Chiagu ones. I find they're absolutely fabulous to work with. I know everyone has different preferences on how they like to knit their socks, but that's what I learn on, and I really enjoy it. Usually for my Colorwork Cuff Club socks, I would go up a needle size when doing the colorwork, but Summerly actually said because it's only like 6 or 7 or something rows, like a very minimal, under 10 rows, that she didn't really find it necessary to size up in the needles when doing the colorwork, because it's so small that you shouldn't have any issues getting it over your foot. And I agree. I just stuck with my needles, my normal needle size, which was 2.25 instead of sizing up to the 2.75 that I usually would. And yeah, I had no issues getting these over my foot, and I have quite high arches. But if you didn't already know, sometimes colorwork can be quite tight. So that's why she encourages you to go up if you are doing a larger colorwork chart. So the next finished object I'm going to talk about, I actually don't have it here. However, I do have pictures, so I'll insert the pictures. But this is the Anker's sweater by PetiteKnit, and I knit this in the size 3 to 4 years for my friend Rahini's son. He has been waiting for a jumper from me for quite a while. I originally knit the storm jumper, but I was just getting frustrated with the sleeve pattern, so I ended up switching to the Anker sweater instead because I already had that pattern in my library, so I didn't have to pay for it. And it's just a gorgeous sweater. It's a circular yoke sweater with 1x1 ribbing on the yoke, and I knit it in this beautiful color called, so it's in color 9685, which is this amazing green color, but it has like slight speckles of blue and yellow. I don't know if it's translating on the camera, but it's a beautiful, beautiful green. And I just saw this green and thought, yes, this will make a stunning sweater for him. And it did, and he loves it so much, and he watches this podcast. So hi, you're being such a good boy. You're a good boy. He's always talking about how he's a good boy, and so he is a good boy, and he got a lovely sweater for it. Yes, it's such a beautiful, beautiful sweater. I'm glad I got the opportunity to use this yarn. This is Cascade 220 by Cascade Yarns, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it. I've heard a lot of people knit this jumper in it. That's what the original sample knit is in. A lot of people talk about how great it is, and not that I didn't expect it to meet the hype, but it is a really fantastic yarn. It's beautiful and plump. I had just a really good time knitting with it. I definitely want to knit a sweater out of this because it's a great affordable yarn. It's beautiful. Its twist is really nice and plump. It's just, yeah, like I can't complain about it. It's 100% Peruvian Highland wool. It's worsted 10 ply, and you get 201 meters per 100 grams. And I think I paid like $16 Australian for 100 grams. So you can make a lovely worsted weight sweater for a good price. I don't really have a lot more to say about this jumper. It's just like a very simple kid jumper. The sleeves are a little long on him, but I think I would rather the jumper be slightly too big than too small, because at least he can grow into it because he's still little. I think it blocked out really beautifully as well. It's a nice thick jumper. He doesn't like to wear his coat, so that's why I thought, usually people steer away from warmer, thicker jumpers for kids because they get overheated, but he doesn't like to wear his coat or jacket outside, so this was kind of me trying to help keep him warm in the winter when he's playing outside, but when he doesn't want to wear his coat. In total, I used 225 grams for this jumper, or 452 meters. The pattern advises 546. So I'm significantly under. I think maybe even though the meters per 100 grams were the same for this yarn and the sample yarn, which is a Sanders Garn yarn, but I cannot remember what it was. I think because my row gauge was just larger, I was able to use less yarn. And I used 4 millimeters to knit this. So 4 millimeters with this you would think would be a struggle because it is a thicker yarn, but no, it was fine. I had no issues with it. So that was a really nice, short and simple one. Not really a lot to talk about there, but it was a great kid knit. Would definitely use this yarn again, and I'm glad I got a chance to use it because it lives up to the hype. It is very nice. Final finished object. We're getting through it. And we only have 2 whips, so it's not too bad after that. I have no Red Bull today. I've already had mine earlier today at knitting group, so we're on the water. Now the next finished object are my I'm So Basic socks by Summer Lee. I love that pattern because it is a free pattern, so if you want to make some basic socks, feel free to check that out because it is free, and it's a great first sock pattern. It's just a normal vanilla basic sock. You can't get enough of a nice vanilla sock pattern because you can use it so many different times and implement your own kind of patterns, which you'll see later in the podcast. But we're talking about the ones that I've made for John. So these are my I'm So Basic socks that I've made for John. In April, it was our 8th anniversary. So we've been together for 8 years, which is pretty incredible. Like, I'm 28 now, so we've been together since I was 20, which is wild to think about. But I thought, I've made him one pair of socks, which were a Colorwork Cuff Club sock when it was Halloween, so they had little ghosts on them. But originally, I really wanted to make him a pair of socks out of this colorway. And this colorway here is the Fox in the Forest colorway in Luxury Sock by Maximoo Yarns. And Maximoo Yarns is a local dyer to my area, and as soon as I saw this colorway, I knew this was the colorway I had to get for John's socks, because John loves green and John loves orange, and these are green and orange. Yes, they are green and orange, and they're just this amazing, highly variegated yarn. And I made these awesome long socks. He loves long socks because he loves to be able to pull his socks up. He has massive feet, so I used the majority of this skein. I only have very little left, and I don't know where that is. I only have like 14 grams left. So I used a good amount of this yarn, and it's beautiful. Maximoo yarns are so lovely and so soft, and they wear really well. They are 85% merino wool and 15% nylon, and they're just your basic 4-ply. You get 400 meters per 100 grams. And yeah, stunning. So I did a nice long cuff on this one. So it's 2x2 ribbing. It's a good couple inch long cuff so that it helps stick up, because they are quite long socks. I did my standard slip stitch heel and gusset, and then I just knit, I think it's like a size 14 or something crazy big feet. So that's why they look kind of monstrous and big. Again, I used my normal 2.25 millimeter needles. Yeah, not a lot to say. Really happy I got those done. I'm sure John will be more than happy that I got these done, because I wouldn't let him wear them until I showed you guys, because I didn't want them to be all kind of messed up. So now that you've seen them, he can now wear them, and he'll be very, very happy, especially because it's been so cold in the mornings. We've got wood floors, and they can be quite chilly on the feet when you get up in the morning here in Australia, especially in Melbourne, because it gets quite cold here. I'll just tell you quickly how much I used. I used 86 grams or 344 meters. Definitely the most I've used for socks, because they are big socks. I only have a little bit left, but definitely didn't run out, which is good. Okay, so now we get to go into our whips, which are exciting. Oh my god, if I'm talking too fast, I am sorry. I'm just like really excited to do it today. Like, this is the first time I think I've sat down and filmed, and I haven't felt like I wanted to have a fist fight with the lighting. So I'm very in a good mood. Plus, I'm getting a free feed tonight at John's parents' house. His brother's making spaghetti bolognese, and it's going to be just so good. So let's get into my first whip. So my first whip is the Poet Scarf by Sari Nordlund. And I'm keeping that in this gorgeous project bag I got from PetiteKnit at the Yarra Valley Handicraft Market like a few months ago. It's really gorgeous. I know I've shown you this before, but it's just such a gorgeous bag, and it matches what's inside. And what is inside is my beautiful blue Poet Scarf. You know, I love a cornflower blue, and this is definitely a very kind of saturated cornflower blue. My goodness. I'm holding two strands, so it can be a bit chaotic. Let me just move some stuff out of the way. Alrighty, so this is my Poet Scarf. Oh my god, I'm really trying to show you this without it looking all scrunched up, whatever. Here we go. So this is my Poet Scarf. So this is a triangular lacework scarf with I-cord edging, as you can see here. And you start at the tip, and then while you're working the lace chart, you are also increasing until you get about halfway. And then once you get halfway, you again work the lace chart, but you're decreasing, all while making the I-cord as you go. So I really like that the I-cord is included, because I don't really like picking up stitches around the entire circumference of a shawl. So I'm really glad that it's included. And the Poet Scarf is just so beautiful. It's got these lovely leafy lacework patterns. I think one thing I really enjoy about this is that there is no cabling, so you don't have to fuss with a cable needle, but you do get these really interesting leaf patterns. And then in between the leaf patterns, you've got this kind of broken seed stitch texture. And it's just the beginning of the shawl, so you can't fully see it. And of course, once it's blocked, it'll look a lot better. But I'm really enjoying working on this so far. This is a project that I have to give my undivided attention, because you are working with a chart, and especially when it comes to like yarn overs, which is what you do to create these eyelets, I really have to pay attention, because sometimes I'll forget to yarn over and then my stitch count will be all off, and I really don't want to make a mistake, because it's going to be hard to go back and fix. So this is my like quiet time, sit down, pay full attention to project that I work on when I just need to take a break from TV and screens, and I just want to sit down and work on this. And I'm really enjoying how it's knitting up so far. It's so pretty. This yarn is the Knitting for Olive Merino. So it's their fingering merino in the color Poppy Blue. And it's 100% merino. You get 250 meters per 50 gram balls. Yeah, and I'm holding 2 strands together to make a DK weight, which is what this pattern calls for. I think she makes it with like a DK, so with a fingering and a lace weight, but I really wanted to use most of this yarn, and I have about 1100 meters of it, or 1250 meters, something like that, just over 1,000 meters, and I really wanted to make enough. Now, this particular pattern doesn't call for that much yarn, but to make sure that I'm using as much as I possibly can, I'm going to be doing extra repeats of the lacework pattern. So it's going to be like larger than a scarflet, I think they're called. Kind of more like a half scarf, somewhere in between a scarf and a scarflet. Just a little bit more body. So I'm definitely going to do more repeats so that it ends up being a little bit bigger. But so far, I'm really enjoying knitting with this Knitting for Olive. Knitting for Olive Merino, again, I can see why people hype it. It is really nice to work with. It feels luxurious. It feels soft, but in a like a moisturized way. Like when I feel this feels like soft, as in like it's something like a fabric that is soft, whereas this feels soft in a way that feels luxurious and plump. And it's just so pretty, and I just really like it. I cannot wait to knit more of this, to see more of this pattern come alive, because it's just so beautiful. And this color is just so beautifully bright. I think you can really, that actually really shows it much better. This color just pops. It's such a beautiful color. Like, to give you an idea, this which looks bright on camera and when you see it in a garment, but this is the Bluebell. This is what we thought was like a cornflower blue before, but then up against the poppy blue, it looks muted, which is crazy. But the poppy blue is just so vibrant and such a beautiful color. I've been obsessed with this color for so long, so I was very, very happy when my dad gifted it to me for my for Christmas, or my birthday. Christmas, I think it was for Christmas. So I was very happy when I got that. I'm very lucky and fortunate to have someone give this to me. So yes, I'm very excited to knit this. I think this will pair so lovely with my Salty Days sweater. So that was my intention with creating this, is having like a really lovely monochromatic pairing. Now, just to briefly mention the needles that I am using. These are the 3.5 millimeter interchangeable needles by Lantern Moon. I really enjoy using these needles. They're swivel needles, so super easy to work with. And then they've got a I think it's like a nylon coated steel cable. Really, really good. I have been using these for a very long time. I bought them like maybe a year, maybe even earlier than a year into my knitting journey. And because I really wanted a pair of interchangeable needles. Looked at so many different sets. The Chiagu obviously came the most recommended. However, they were quite expensive and they didn't have a lot of the sizes that I was looking for all in one set. Like, you could buy the sizes separately for the needles and add them to your interchangeable needle set, but they didn't have it all already ready. Whereas like I felt like with the Lantern Moon ones, they were just had a better pairing of the sizes for the needles, as well as they had lots of cable options, and the cables are quite affordable. Like if you wanted to buy the cable separately, they're like $14 or like $13 something. You get 2 cables, needle stoppers, and a tool. Anyway, I'm not being sponsored by Lantern Moon. I just really like these needles. Anyway, yes, really good needles. Love working with them. They're wooden, so they're not super slippery, but they're sharp, and they are made out of ebony wood, which is like a very hard wood. So you get the warmth kind of wood needles, but the kind of durability of like metal needles, if you know what I mean. Doesn't mean they don't break. I have accidentally sat on one and broken it, but that was my own fault. Okay, let's put this back in here, and then we'll get on to the next whip. Okay, so this is in another PetiteKnits bag. You know, girl, I'm always repping my PetiteKnits. Not sponsored by PetiteKnits, but she is a friend, and I do really, really love her bags. So these socks are a self-drafted sock. I know, crazy. I'm not coming up with a pattern. Don't stress. But these are my self-drafted thermal stitch socks. I was recommended by someone in the comments of one of my previous podcast videos because I was looking for like a textured sock pattern to use this yarn, and this yarn is the Hedgehog Fibres sock in the color Avo, which is this beautiful creamy light green color. Absolutely love it. Such a stunning color, and I really wanted something like highly textured because I wanted to be able to show off the texture. I think light colored solids are perfect for that, but I didn't really know what I wanted. But they commented down below this pattern that is by Alicia Plummer, and it's called the Grandpa Socks. And they were this beautiful kind of like look like a broken rib stitch sock, and they had like the ribbing flow down into the heel, and they were really, really stunning. But I looked at it, and after some thinking, I was kind of like, well, I don't think I would want to do that heel. I think I would just want to do like my normal slip stitch heel. And then I thought like, well, if I'm changing the heel, like, do I really need to buy the pattern? It was $11, and to me, like, not saying that's expensive for a sock pattern, but I was also kind of like, well, it's just like a basic kind of rib stitch pattern. I wonder if I can find it somewhere and just, you know, figure it out for myself. Like I said, I have the Summer Lee basic sock pattern, which is a really great base sock pattern, and you can pretty much implement anything into it. And I also have the Ultimate All-Round Stitch Dictionary by Wendy Bernard, which is this. And this is a book I bought ages ago. I have a couple of stitch dictionaries, and essentially it's just a book filled with different stitches, like ribbing, lace work, color work. It's just like, you know, it's just filled with all these different types of stitches. And I was like, well, there's a whole section in here on ribbing. I'm pretty sure I could find whatever this stitch is. And when looking through it, I discovered, oh, it's thermal stitch. And thermal stitch, if you Google thermal stitch, you can find out how to do it. It's very, very easy. I'm going to explain it to you now. And I haven't bought this Alicia Plummer like pattern, so I'm not like spoiling anything because I don't know anything in it. And if you want to knit it, that's totally fine. I think it's a fabulous pattern. I think the heel construction is very interesting, but for me, I didn't want to do that, so I just didn't see the point in me buying that pattern when I already, you know, I've knit so many socks. I already know the basic anatomy of a sock. I can implement a very simple stitch pattern into a basic sock, which is what this is. This is thermal stitch. Now, I've already knit one sock up. I haven't blocked it, and I'm currently working on my other one. And again, I just used the Summer Lee basic sock and implemented this thermal stitch pattern, which you can see here. And it's very fun and very textured. Obviously, once I block this, it'll get a bit more neat, but you can kind of see what it looks like there. And a thermal stitch pattern, essentially all it is you knit 2 rows normal, and then you knit 2 purl 2 for 2 rows. That's literally it. It's a very simple, easy stitch pattern, and I actually prefer it to normal ribbing because then I don't have to knit 2 purl 2 the entire sock. I only have to knit 2 purl 2 half of the sock. The rest I can do in stockinette, which is fabulous. I started off the sock by doing some normal 2x2 ribbing for about 20 rows. And then I went into the thermal stitch pattern. So you can see that the 2x2 ribbing does lead straight into that thermal stitch pattern. And then once I got to the part where I did the heel, I just did a normal slip stitch heel and gusset. And then when I continued on the foot, I just omitted doing the thermal stitch on the bottom and just did stockinette. And then half of the sock I did in the thermal stitch till I got to the toe and just did the toe in normal. And I really love it. I think it's a really fun pattern. It's very easy. It gives like a big effect of it being really nice and textured. Yeah, I really, really love it. It looks really good. Now, if you would like to make your own self-drafted thermal sock, I have put all of the notes and the instructions to make your own down in the Ravelry project page for this particular project. So I will tell you exactly how I knit it, how you can knit one for yourself if you would like. So, and if you do have any questions or my instructions aren't clear, feel free to reach out. But yeah, I've written it all down there for free. You can go check that out if you would like to make your own thermal stitch socks. Just like the other socks, it's the same needle size, 2.25mm needles. Oh, I actually do also give instructions on how many stitches I pick up for my particular size when it comes to picking up the stitches for the heel. I also give that same advice of how to do the through the back loop stitch there. And then one thing I did notice with a couple of thermal stitch sock patterns that I did have a look at, because I was just wondering if there was a free one or one that I liked. For me, I don't like it when like each side is uneven, like there's a different pattern on either side. I really wanted to make this even. So when you do start the thermal stitch pattern, your beginning of round is actually in the middle of the pattern. So it goes like knit 1, purl 2, knit 2, all the way around to the last stitch, and then you knit that last stitch so that you can get that even pattern on both sides so that one isn't leaning towards the other side. Hope that makes sense. Anyway, it's all detailed in that description on that project page if you are interested. Now we get to go into the acquisitions. Now I've got a couple of acquisitions here from the Coburg yarn market that I went to a few weeks ago. I don't think it's called the Coburg yarn market. It's called yarn something else or yarn fest or something, but I can't remember. Anyway, I've got a couple of acquisitions from there, not very much, but something to show you guys. But before I do that, I have some fun accessories to show you. So I am very, very fortunate that, you know, you guys enjoy my channel and you enjoy the videos that I make, and that you guys reach out to me and want to send me stuff for free. It's just crazy. Like, you guys are too nice to me. You're so nice. I can't believe it. But Carly from Ellie and Flora reached out to me and, you know, said, oh, look, I really enjoy your videos. You know, to show my appreciation, I want to send you some, you know, stitch markers and stuff that I made. And I said, oh my God, that would be so nice. Like, you really don't have to, like, you know, no stress. And she said, no, I really want to send it to you. It's no sweat off my back. And yeah, so I'm going to show you some really cool stuff. So that was really sweet of her. It just blows me away how kind some of you guys are. It's just kind of crazy. But she packaged them all up really cute, and they're not like packaged as cutely now because I've obviously taken them all out, and I was so excited to receive this package. She sent me the shipping tracking number and I tracked it because I was so excited to see what was in here, because she didn't send any of it, like pictures of it, to me beforehand. So it was all a mystery, and it was very, very fun. So they're not all just earrings. There are like stitch markers in here and a few other accessories. So I'll show you a few of the stitch markers. And immediately when I saw them, I was like, oh my God, these like very much give me like cool vibes, like chic, I don't know, like South Melbourne mum vibes, you know what I mean? So these are some of the stitch markers that she sent me. There were 2 of these little holders with these stitch markers on there, and they're like little fabric stitch markers, and they're so cute. I'm trying to show you, but they are turning the other way. But they come in all little different different fabric types, and they're just so cute with the little wood bases. I think they look so chic, and they definitely give, yeah, like that South Melbourne mum who's like into like the natural stuff. They just like give very chic, cool, like earthy vibes, and I really love them, especially with like, I love this one. It's so pretty. And the holder is really cool too. Now, she said originally that these holders are actually bookmarked, which I love the idea of, but they're also just very, very handy for holding your stitch markers on. They also, I thought, could like be used as, what are they called, like stitch holders? Like, you know, when you need to put like a few stitches on hold, that would also work. And so these are some other ones that I've taken off the holders just so I can show you. There they are. They're so cute. I just love them. And they're fabric with a little wood, and they just look so chic. I just love them. And you can also wear them as earrings, I feel. And then this was another one. I love this one as a bookmark. I'm definitely going to use this for my book because I have a book club. And then these earrings I've been wearing a lot. So these ones here in this colorway I haven't yet worn. They're like a lovely kind of peachy neutral tone, but I have been wearing these a lot, especially with this jumper. These earrings, these ones look so cute. They're like just like perfectly earthy, but just like so gorgeous and chic. So I love those. There you go. Yeah, so cute. Very much match the vibe of this jumper. I was wearing these earlier today actually, and took them off because I wanted to change jumpers. She also sent in some rings as well. So these are like cute adjustable rings. Very, very cute. These actually match so well. There you go. So, so cute. Absolutely love it. She did not have to send these to me. She has not asked me to promote these on my channel, but I just want to show my love and appreciation and just thank her for being so generous and sending these to me. She currently doesn't have like an Etsy store or anything like that. She's just doing custom orders, so feel free to check her out on her Instagram, send her a message, and she can make you anything if you would like. She's so kind. I really do enjoy, like, it's not just for me, like she's sending me stuff. Like, I genuinely love talking to you guys when you message me and just having conversations and talking about yarn. Like, oh my god, I love talking to people about yarn. Hence I'm doing this. But no, I really appreciate it. And then on top of that, literally like a couple weeks after that, I get a message from Gemma from Gem's Craft Shop, and she is another notion maker and earring maker, and she also said that she enjoyed my videos and wanted to send me some stuff. Again, like, they have not asked to be featured or anything on the podcast, didn't ask me to promote it or anything like that. These are both small businesses in Australia, and I'm all about supporting small businesses, so in no way they have asked me to promote this stuff. I just, you know, I'm so happy to do that, especially for small businesses in Australia. Like, it's really hard out there. Small businesses in Australia only last on average about 3 years. So if I can help a small business that I genuinely love what they make and they're generous enough to send it to me, I'm going to do it. You know, I'm going to do it. So obviously you would have seen from the beginning of this podcast me wearing these really gorgeous heart and flower earrings. They're so cute. All of her earrings are made with stainless steel. I have some really gorgeous stitch markers that you will see in a second, but I just wanted to quickly feature these ones because they are really cute. They're like made with a kind of like a lightweight material, so they don't feel heavy even though they are quite big, but really gorgeous, and they're all with stainless steel so they don't irritate the skin. But when I first had a look at her Instagram page, I was already obsessed with the food themed stitch markers that she has. So let me show you some of these because these are just beyond cute. And one of these is very Australian. You'll see in a sec. Alrighty, so these are the stitch markers that she sent me, and like, come on, you can't tell me those are the cutest little food stitch markers you have ever seen. So we've got the egg, which I eat eggs every day. I love this egg. Look how realistic that goddamn egg looks. Oh, love it. Then we've got the coffee bean for the caffeine lovers. Let me turn that around so you can see it. They're really realistic looking. I'm very impressed with the realism. And then this one, which is probably my ultimate favorite, like how could it not be, is the fairy bread. Oh my god, how freaking cute is that? Look at that. I really want to take it off so I can show you properly. I'll take this off so I can show you properly. But this fairy bread one, are you kidding me? Oh my god. That is the cutest stitch marker I have ever seen in my entire life. Like, are you kidding me? So if you don't know what fairy bread is because you don't live in Australia, fairy bread is just white bread with butter and hundreds of thousands on it. So hundreds of thousands are like circular sprinkles. They're our version of sprinkles. And it's an iconic staple at like every single kid's birthday party, any kind of kids event. Even adults now have it because fairy bread is just so good. It's so simple and it's so amazing. And so she is just an icon for making these fairy bread stitch markers. She also has like a couple of teardrop ones in there as well. And these teardrop ones are really cool because if I can show you, they have little, like they have the pattern of like knit. They look like stockinette, which is so cute. So I was super, super happy to receive those because they are just so adorable, and I love anything food themed. You'll see like probably I relate a lot of things to food, musk sticks, fairy bread, so on and so forth. And then she sent me this, which was like kind of like a prototype, but this is a needle minder. So this is a needle minder, which is so cute. It looks like a little stockinette circle, very, very cute in this beautiful pink color, very much my color. But what it is it's magnetized. So if you're like weaving in ends or have loose stitch markers that are metallic, this is a really handy way to keep them all in one place so that they're not, you know, sprawled everywhere on the couch and on the floor. So she sent me this to give it a try, and I really enjoy it. It's really handy and it's really cute because I always have a needle whenever I have to weave in ends, and it's so cute, and it just looks like a little stockinette. It's a little stockinette. It's very, very cute. So you can get those as well from her. And then of course she sent through like this really cute like keychain, which I'll keep on one of my project bags, which is like, again, stockinette. I love anything knitting themed. All this knitting themed stuff is so cute. Then she also sent me, I know, so spoiled. What the hell? What did I do to deserve such nice things and be so spoiled? These, when I saw these, I was like, I have to plan a whole project around these, because these are buttons. They're buttons, girl. Look at these gorgeous, gorgeous buttons. Are you kidding me? Pink and yellow buttons? What the hell? Like, these are so freaking cute. Are you joking me? So, so cute. Oh my god, so cute. And then of course she sent me these earrings. She sent me these ones, these blue ones, which are really cool with the checkered print on them, which I think will look really good with my salty days. And then these green ones here as well, which are really fun too with the checkered print. And these are like more hoop style, more dangly. But yes, that's everything she sent me, which is crazy. Like Ellie and Flora and Gem's Craft Shop, like, thank you so much for sending me those things for free. I'm so, so grateful. Their information will be linked down below. Like I said before, Ellie and Flora doesn't have like a storefront, but you can contact her on Instagram. You can reach out to her there and she can make you stuff there. And then Gem's Craft Shop, she does have an Etsy, so you can find her in the description box below as well. And then I think Gem's is like her earring one. I think she has like a separate store for her earrings. And you can check that out too. And again, like, they did not send me this stuff, you know, stating that they would in exchange like me to talk about it on my podcast. Not at all. But I'm so happy to support small Australian businesses. Like, it's if that's what I can do to make sure that I can support these creators and keep them creating, like, I'm so happy to do that. They've got fabulous products and I'm just, yeah, blown away by the creativity. It's just so fabulous. Like, I just feel so lucky. Thank you so much. Alrighty, now let's get into the acquisitions I paid for with my own money. So these are the two acquisitions that I got from the Coburg market. So the first one I got is actually from a yarn brand I've used before, and I got it actually last year at Bendigo. And this is the Tolematin toe sock. And it's a French brand, it's a French dyer, and they just dye the most beautiful light speckled yarn. And this is kind of like a lovely violet purple color. I don't know, because it's getting a bit less bright now, you can really see, but It's really beautiful. And I've used their yarn before and I find that their speckling is just lovely and even and not too heavy, not stripy. It's just that like perfect, oh, it's beautiful. Perfect amount of speckling. And with these ones, they are 75% merino superwash, so superwash merino, 25% nylon. You get 100 grams in a skein and you get 425 meters per 100 grams. And it's just so beautiful. And I saw this and I thought, oh, that is stunning. I would love to make something like a cowl or a shawl or some sort of like neck accessory with this in this color, because it's just so stunning. And although it is more pinky based, it's not too pinky based where I couldn't wear it with my Mountain and Seas sweater by Sarah from Sarah's Hand Makes. But I didn't want to make just a fingering weight shawl. So I thought I need some fluff to pair with it. And luckily, at the same store, which was Ziggo Zagger, I should mention, they had this. And this is the Camarose Midnut Sole? Midnut Sole? I think that's how you pronounce it. Midnut Sole in this beautiful color called Candy Floss. Oh, I didn't mention, this color is called Petal, which I think is petal, I think. But sorry, this Midnut Sole is in the color Candy Floss, and it's this beautiful pinky purpley violet color. And doesn't it just look like it would pair so well together? I don't know if it's really translating on the camera, but I think that these two pair so well together. This is so lovely and fluffy. Like, it's definitely more of a fluff. It doesn't feel as soft as like a silk mohair, but it's a really interesting blend that I had never seen before, and it was a really reasonable price. So for example, this is 54% baby alpaca, 10% merino wool, and 36% lyocell. And I don't think I've ever worked with lyocell before. Comment down below if you know what the hell lyocell is. I think it's like a plant-based fiber. I could just Google it. Anyway, I'm getting a bit all over the place because it's the end of the podcast. But you get 200 meters per 50 grams, and it is $12 a ball, which is pretty crazy. $12 a ball for 200 meters. Usually you're paying upwards of $15. So for $12, I was very happy. I really wanted to give this a go because it's really lovely and fluffy, and it's a beautiful color. And I just think that these two will look so fabulous together and make the most delectable, fluffy, gorgeous shawl or kind of cowly thing. It was actually funny when I was picking out these colors. There was another lady at the same stand who was kind of watching me pick these colors out, and she also fell in love with this color combination. And she asked me, she's like, "Oh, would it be okay if I pick the same?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, girl! Like, hell yeah! Are you kidding? You think my taste is good in yarn? Yes. And you want to be matching? Yes, please." That is literally the biggest compliment anyone could give me, is buying the same yarn as me. That would be fabulous. Oh, yeah, so I'm very excited to make something out of that. Haven't looked in what exactly I'm going to make, but low-key kind of want to make another DRK everyday cowl, but it may be like a little bit of a different one. Not too sure yet. Won't look myself in for that one. I've got a lot of projects on the list to get to. Anyway, alrighty, I think that's everything I have to talk about today. Thank you so much for watching this podcast. I hope you enjoyed what I talked about today. Like I said before, if you want to see more videos like this from me, I release videos every like 2 to 3 weeks. Feel free to subscribe, turn on the notification bell if you want to be alerted for when I post my videos. I usually post them like early Monday mornings in Australia, which is the kind of like sometime on Sunday in the US. But yeah, and again, I do frequent updates on my Instagram, so feel free to check me out there at smash.knits. I am so excited to see what I get done and what I have to show you in my next podcast. I am also doing a vlog for Bendigo, so I'm very excited to take you guys along to see what I get up to at Bendigo this year. Last year I filmed a vlog, but I never released it because it wasn't in a good headspace, so I'm very excited to go with a renewed headspace, feeling much better and much more excited, and be able to show you guys everything I get up to there. So thank you guys again for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day and all of your knitting is unproblematic and fun. Alrighty guys, I will talk to you later. I'll see you next time. Bye!